Hello, it's nice to see you here today. We're going to have a concert soon, the Nature Concert Hall. And this is an idea that has come from Latvia, which has been brought here by colleagues, scientists and nature lovers who understand the difficulty there is in communicating complex ideas to the public and communicating them in a way that scientists can communicate their idea, but the public can actually take action because this is a difficult thing.
Yeah.
So perhaps you can explain these difficulties and how you feel these innovative communication methods can help to communicate these complex scientific ideas.
So actually the issue you're talking about has become a major topic on the agenda of our university. Yeah? So we have a so-called third mission now, which means that besides teaching and science, we also have to do transfer. This means transfer our knowledge and our insights to the community. And this is a tricky thing. Yeah? So that's not so easy because people normally don't read our papers and you have to attract them another way. And probably, art is one way to attract them or other options to get them involved. And so, this is a wonderful thing and a wonderful perspective you're offering here to bring people closer to a complex understanding of ecology or of nature.
Mm-hmm. And our topic this evening is meadows and kind of the meadow ecosystem. And we're concentrating on one botanical feature hero. And I think as a person looking at a meadow, to me, it seems very simple. You have flowers growing and we have the term natural meadow, which seems everything is happening naturally. But actually, it is quite complex and it takes a long time. And these seedlings come from all over in complex relationships in nature.
So actually most of our meadows, or in general the grasslands that we have here in Central Europe, are cultural objects. By nature, we would have forests here, almost everywhere. And what you see here as grasslands are partly remnants of the period after the last ice age, when there were no forests here in Central Europe because it was too dry and too cold. We had quite hot summers, but the winters were very cold, and which did not allow tree growth. And these meadow plants partly could survive in areas that were unfavorable for forests, like shallow slopes, very wet sites, etc., bogs, etc. And but only 7,000 years ago, we had this cultural revolution during the Neolithicum, where people became sedentary and started with agriculture. And the first people from the Middle East who came here to Central Europe, they also brought their animals, like cows, sheep, and they let them graze in the countryside, and they opened the forests. And this was the time when these meadow plants again could spread again in the forests, because the forests became very light, and after a while they were even in some areas they disappeared completely. And then these meadows, these grasslands, they were the basis for the nutrition of the animals, of people. And this continued, and then we have since the invention of skies, we have also the mowing of hay to produce fodder for the winter times. Yeah, if you have a snow-rich region, so the animals cannot find fodder during the winter, they cannot survive in the open landscape. So you need to provide them with fodder, and by that the first meadows were created. And so meadows are in fact cultural objects, and they have undergone a kind of co-evolution with man. And one sign for this is that our meadow plants from Europe, they're extremely successful all over the world, because they are adapted on this use for haymaking or for grazing. And when you go to other continents like South America, even in similar climates, you don't find similar plants because they have not undergone this co-evolution between human agriculture and the adaptation to this to the effects of these human agricultural practices.
So the meadows really are, you know, one of those examples of people being in harmony with nature and actually making it more diverse.
Yeah, yes, you're absolutely right. And there was a big harmony until agriculture became more industrial, more technical. So especially during the past 30, 40 years, we have a very strong decline of these species-rich meadows because the agricultural practices changed fundamentally. So first of all, we have very high productivity nowadays in the meadows. The meadows are heavily fertilized to increase the yield. And this means that a few very dominant grasses, they dominate the meadow. A lot of nice flowers and small short-growing herbs, they disappear. And we can observe everywhere a strong decline of biodiversity in the meadows. So, and the meadows are now cut 4 or 5 times a year for silage production, yeah, and they are cut in very short intervals of 4 or 5 weeks. And well, there are almost no plants or few flowers who can survive these management regimes, and that's one reason why our meadows have become so scarce, the species-rich meadows. And now we have predominantly these agricultural grasslands, which are dominated by a couple of grasses and maybe 3, 4 legumes. And there's also kind of reseeding. They're regularly they are plowed and reseeded again with grasses, and this means a strong impoverishment in diversity. So actually, these meadows or these species-rich grasslands are nowadays the most threatened habitat over all Europe, and the same is true in Lithuania. So on the one side, we have intensification of meadow use, which means a decline of biodiversity. But on the other hand, we have the abandonment of management, which is, for example, a big issue in your country. Yeah, so there are a lot of meadows are no longer used. They're abandoned and they become forests after a while. Yeah.
So we really, what we are looking forward to, I guess, in educating people, both as scientists and us from the cultural side, is to actually bring people's awareness that we have to return to the balance between nature and people.
Yes, definitely. And what is important that we understand that basically land management is key to restore or to preserve these meadows. So you cannot keep them by doing nothing, but you have to do something. And today, this usually requires subsidies. And most of these subsidies are given by the European Union via the agricultural policy. And this is a big issue. So at the moment, because the nature conservation agencies and the NGOs, they really want that the agri-environmental schemes, that the amount of money that is spent for that should increase. Well, there is a strong lobby against that. Yeah. And so we have to do something on the political side, and that's why we need to inform people about this issue, yeah, to get political support for this restoration or conservation measures.
So thank you very much. I think we'll work together then as scientists, as creative people, and make sure that we manage to save nature and conserve it in a way that we can benefit from it in many centuries to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.